Yeah, ever wondered what it's like to be the boss? Neil is with us today to tackle all the big managerial stories. First, we'll talk about this man.
Alexander Isak, it's Isak's strike and it's into the back of the net. It's a wonderful finish.
From Isak to Isak, Newcastle set to shatter a transfer record to sign Sociedad striker Alexander Isak for £60 million. He's a Swede, scored 6 goals in 26 La Liga games last season. Neil, you had a bit of financial backing at QPR as a manager. How much of a boost is it when you get back like this and get your man? I don't know much about this guy, but quite clearly Newcastle fancy him to pay that much.
Well, I saw some of his goals last night. I mean, they're incredible goals. If he can, I don't know what his all-round contribution is, but wow. I mean, you get somebody like that. I mean, when I go back, when I was young, Malcolm McDonald was the hero when Talon up there, and what a hero! And it just crying out for somebody like that. And they've done their. I think Eddie's done his signings shrewdly. He hadn't gone blasting everything, and he's took his time, got the right ones, and I think Newcastle have had the best window of anybody, mate.
Neil, have you ever signed a player, Neil, when you spend a lot of your budget on him and he hasn't performed for you, or the league's just been too tough for him? Because I remember Alex McLeish at Aston Villa when he signed Charles Nzogbia. Yeah. You know, it was most of his transfer budget, and just didn't turn up, didn't try for him.
Well, Alan mentioned QPR. I never signed anybody at QPR till last week in August because they were selling the club. So from April, I never had a chance. So it was. But when you look at the players that you sign, I've never been good at strikers, Gabby. Never been good at strikers. I've signed some, even going back to my times at Notts County when I signed 2 or 3, and Sheffield United. Never been good at strikers. So, it's one of them things that I think as a manager, you hope they come off. It's always been the ones that you don't expect. Like when I was at United, I signed 2 or 3, and I went back to a lad called Shipley. Mr. Steady, he was Mr. Reliable. So, I think he's just fits. This lad, I think now they've got the money. I think they've done it right, and they're looking for that final piece. And I mean, looking at his goals last night, Gabby, I've seen them. They're outside the box in top corner, and they're all over show. So, if it's anything like what I saw,
Al isn't sure though because he hasn't got Premier League experience.
I know. I mean, everybody, but you're not going to get it till you play there, exactly. Are you? Really? I mean, it is the thing about the Premier League is you've got to make sure you go to a decent club, haven't you? I mean, I think Jesus was like a final piece because I don't think they've ever had somebody like that.
Would
for
you
years.
As well, Neil, as a manager, look at Callum Wilson's injuries and think to yourself, I need a good backup here.
You know that goal he scored? I don't think, Alan, you're a striker as well as Gabby. I don't think it got enough credit, that goal he scored near post. I thought it was incredible. And when he scored that, I'm saying to myself, well, if he can keep fit, he's our number one in Qatar, him. For me, when I look at what else there is around, him and Harry Kane, dearie me.
Now, we mentioned Leicester earlier. Up next, the Fofana transfer saga drags on. He's been subject of 3 big money bids from Chelsea, who apparently he wants to join. After the Foxes' Carabao Cup win this week, manager Brendan Rodgers was asked if another bid had come in for him.
I believe so. The club told me earlier on this afternoon. Clearly, I don't know too much detail around it because I've been concentrating on the game. So, but I believe there was another bid. It's always better if it's done sooner rather than later. That the player clearly wants to go, and it's really about the clubs finding an agreement. So, I think once that happens, then it'll only be resolved then.
I think Brendan's tried his hardest to keep him. I think he's resigned the fact, Neil, that he does want to go. He will go. When a player wants to leave that, what do you do, Neil? You just try to forget him?
Do you know, when I was at Leeds, I didn't get much of a chance there, but we had a lad called Snodgrass, you know Snodgrass.
Yeah.
And I thought I've got a good team here with him, and they start a pre-season, and then I get a phone call, we've got to sell somebody, from Ken. We've got to sell him, and I think Norwich offered $1.5 million. I said, no, you can't sell him for that. And I said, please leave it with me. And he wanted to take 1.5. Anyhow, I got 3.25 for him, and he said I could have half. But within 24 hours, the bank had pulled the plug on it, I'm told.
Wow.
And you lose somebody like that, and then you don't get the backing or the support. Yeah. It's going to be a long season for Brendan by the sound of it.
Now, finally today marks there just been 1 week until the transfer window slams shut, with plenty of Premier League clubs still scrapping to get late deals over the line. West Ham, one of them. Neil, as a manager, how distracting is it going into last week of the season, or the window, excuse me, while you're still preparing for games? You're concentrating on different games. You're desperate to bring a new face in. It can't be. Have you just got to trust your director of football, or trust someone?
Well, you've got to try and do it yourself. Sometimes you've got to push it yourself, because although you've got a director of football or chief exec or whoever they are, sometimes they aren't all pulling in the right direction as you. They have their opinions. Sometimes their opinions are more than you of who you should sign. So you've just got to get on with it, I think. And I mean, I've had a couple of years ago, they had the deadline day on the same day as a game. I mean, I can prepare for a game when you're looking at transfer window. But, I mean, I've always been in the secretary's office till 11 o'clock at night, every flaming transfer. It's an absolute nightmare.
Don't you think it should be closed, though, before the season starts?
Well, I mean, I have no opinion on that, really, Gabby. I mean, it keeps everything interested. You see teams that have lost players with injury now and are struggling, and all of a sudden it gives them another chance to bring a couple in somehow. So
just look at Watford, like they're probably thinking, come on, please, window close. They're losing all their best players, aren't they? They
are, yeah. But I think they knew that when the young lad took over, that's what they're going to happen. They're going to lose the best players, and I think they've catered for that. Really, I don't think they're in a bad position. Really, I don't think. So it is hard for money, but it's a nightmare. Deadline day, you're tied up, and there's always something crops up at the last minute that you're not expecting. Whether it's somebody who wants one of your players, or a loan player comes up that you never expected you could get on loan, and all of a sudden you've got to agree terms and everything, and then he's got to do a medical, and you've got to rush in. I mean, I've had when I was at QPR, I had Nigel Cox trying to get to a hospital with a player and doing this, that, and the other for a medical, and he's telling me he's stuck in traffic. I said, if you don't get to that hospital and get it done, Nigel, you can go with him when you go, And that was a last second job and all, So it is another thing that managers don't really need.
Yeah.
talkSPORT Breakfast with Alan Brazil. Thursday and Friday morning, 6 till 10. On AM, on DAB, via the talkSPORT app and on your smart speaker. talkSPORT.